City of Charleston is changing, and so is traffic and transportation. I sat down exclusively with City of Charleston Director of Traffic and Transportation, Keith Benjamin, for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview next week on iHeartRadio. Keith Benjamin.
Hey.
It is so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I appreciate this greatly.
Yeah, man, we decided to be twins today.
Exactly right. That's right. Yeah, looks good for me on camera. But I know, obviously, you're a busy man. You're a husband, a father, the director of the Charleston Department of Traffic and Transportation, and community is your passion. Let me take you to traffic and transportation. When you ride around Charleston these days, what do you see?
I didn't know you were gonna ask this, but we just did some decorated crosswalks in West Ashley Greenway. Really excited about, thanks to the work of Charleston Moves and a grant from AARP's Livability, and just really grateful for them and got a chance to be with them in Charlotte. And so I'm leaving the Greenway, coming up to Farmfield to 17 and make a left on to go up towards 526. And it started to rain. And right at the bus stop that's right at the intersection of Farmfield and 17 was this elderly woman, short, silver hair, with a grocery bag, waiting for the bus in the rain. I don't know where she needed to go. I don't know what her circumstances are. But I couldn't get that image out of my head. And quite frankly, it's too many of those images that I see on a regular basis when it comes to accessibility. And I feel a level of obligation to address it. Because there are solutions, right? There are things that can be done. And so my everyday has been trying to identify the solutions to really push our city forward, push our region forward when it comes to not just transportation and mobility, but what community should look like, right? And community should be safe for everyone. It should be accessible for everyone, right? It should be that what we call in planning that 880 rule, whether you're 80 years old or 8 years old, that you feel safe in your place, right? And you feel like you can access your basic needs. And so that's where my head is at. That's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm trying to do.
You talk about that. I know that you spoke with the AARP conference recently, and you said transportation is a common denominator for how we change communities. It's part of the solution.
Yeah.
How do you change this community?
Well, I think a part of it is giving credence to our history and then seeing how we can make improvements from there, right? I think one of the things that hurts communities a lot, no matter what community you're in, poor, wealthy, black, white, big, small, whatever that might be, is that people want to know that you acknowledge their circumstances and the issues that they're dealing with, right? And how you can address those, right? So, before we did anything related to the improvements that I felt needed to be done on the east side, we sat with the community, and they were like, look, we've been waiting for Drake Street to be repaved forever. It's a roller coaster when we ride down it. And so to be able to partner with the county and for them to see Drake Street as a priority, and now to see ADA compliant sidewalks and crosswalks and stop bars and signage and paving and otherwise on that street is just indicative of us listening to community first and not making assumptions behind the desk of what should or shouldn't happen. So trying to duplicate that wherever we are in the city.
And you talk about Charleston County. Let me talk to you about the Glen McConnell Parkway.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, it's going to be widening, as you know.
Yep.
And from the Postal Court, it reads this. The Glen McConnell Parkway is a busy 2.5-mile highway in West Ashley. It connects the area suburbs to Interstate 526, as well as South Carolina Highway 61 via Paul Cantrell Boulevard. Voters agreed that widening this road was a high priority project worthy of using funds from the half-cent sales tax. How do you deal with this from a city standpoint?
Well, for me, I'm just very grateful for the collaboration with the county. I can't speak to what happened before my time, but since I've been on board these almost 2 years.
Right.
It's been just this willingness to find every opportunity to collaborate with them, whether that's on resurfacing projects, whether that's with Sharrows, whether that's with just sitting down and going back and forth about different priorities, whether it's their involvement in the citywide transport plan. They've been a part of that collaboration, and the Glen McConnell project is nothing short of that, right? Yes, it's the goal is to improve traffic flow in that corridor in the peak hours. It's unbearable for a lot of citizens, but it's also the concerns about pedestrian safety.
Right.
It's the concerns about making sure those kids who are going to the large high school in the area, to be able to be safe, or whether they're going to a football game, or the new school that's being built, or the library,
Right.
how safe they are. And then the other portion is, and this is again to the collaboration, our work between city and county with the Council of Governments and the recently completed regional transit framework plan that shows Glen McConnell as a primary corridor for rapid transit after the first one coming from Somerville into downtown is a part of that. So how within the project scope now are we being mindful of this being a primary transit corridor in the future, and even some of the things that can be changed now? And so it's just been indicative of purposeful collaboration, right? And I'm just really grateful for how the city and county have been able to work together.
You talk about collaboration. Let me take you to this press release. It reads this: City of Charleston hosts this public expert panel discussion for comprehensive parking study.
Yeah.
What does that study look like with these other people at the table?
Well, as you know, we have not done a comprehensive parking study since 1998. So it's been 2 decades. And obviously Charleston is a different place in 2018 versus 1998. And so it was important to kind of take a look at those pieces. And one of the things that I've been adamant about with the parking study process, because it's been so long since we've looked at this, was that we will make sure that anybody who touches community in any sort of way would be engaged in this process. And so we released that survey and had almost 4,000 people, residents, employees, employers, visitors, fill out that survey, where it showed that the vast majority of people not only want great parking options, but want better mobility options across the board. Resident, worker, employer, visitors said that they would choose transit if they knew it was reliable, if it was safe, it was connected, right? We made sure that we were able to engage in intimate settings, different categories of people, from the various schools and areas to faith-based groups to health facilities, to neighborhood council presidents and vice presidents, sitting in our sessions with each of them in intimate settings with the consultants and hearing their concerns and what should be prioritized and why that matters and what we should shy away from and what we should consider. And then moved it forward to this opportunity that's coming on December 10th and 11th, where we're having my counterparts in the cities of Charlotte, Columbus, Ohio, and Seattle, Washington, to come to Charleston, South Carolina, and tell us about how they've been navigating the work, both around parking and mobility, right? These aren't siloed unto themselves. Both of them work in conundrum in concert with each other. And so we're excited about that. They're going to be getting a chance to tour the city. They're going to be sitting with city staff, being able to connect with them. And then there's going to be a major public meeting at the Clemson Design Center on East Bay with those city officials that's open to the public, starting at 5:30. To be able to come and exchange and be able to hear from them and ask questions and otherwise. So we want to make sure it's as engaged as possible and move from there. And then looking forward to being in front of council with the recommendations for their approval in January of 2019.
You talk about mobility. I have to take you to some news from Twitter.
Yeah.
You announced this quote: "Awesome news from our region. Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester County Governments receives National Innovation Award for Hop and Ride Shuttle." How did we get here with that?
Well, I just think it's one of those things where innovation was necessary and people came around the table and made it happen. Whether you're talking about the mayor, whether you're talking about Councilmember Seekings, who's my chair of the Transportation Committee, talking about the Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments and their staff, Sharon Hollis and Jeff Burns and Andrea and Ron and all those great folk, and the county, right? Because remember, the hop lot as it exists is a combination of city-owned property and then also county-owned property, as it stands right now. And so there was a need. And so now you have essentially an extension of the Dash that is our hospitality on the peninsula, where anybody, no matter who you are, can be able to ride that bus system for almost 21 hours a day, every single day around the city. And if you decide to park at the lot, it's only $5, and then you just hop on the bus. The bus comes every 15 minutes. And then in addition to that, the connectivity that we've created. And so essentially, if you wanted to, say if you live in the Bridgeview neighborhood and you needed to get downtown to your job, that you could easily ride your bike right over to the hop lot, park it, get onto the bus for free, and ride it right downtown. And so we're excited about how that has continued to develop, and hoping to be able to expand it. The Council of Governments, we just had it at the Carter Board meeting. They presented all 25 locations for park and ride in the Tri-County region. One of those locations is at the Citadel Mall. And so we're really trying to push forward how we think about mobility in the region for all modes of transportation. And that hop is just one of those bright stars in the work.
You hear everybody talk about 2020 all the time.
Yeah.
When you look at 2020, Charleston and transportation, where does your mind go to?
Well, my mind goes to hoping to be already moving forward on our build grant for the Ashley River Bridge and improvements to the Greenway and Bikeway. We're supposed to hear back from that in the coming days. So fingers crossed and prayers up to hear about that. Looking forward to better improvements within our department. Just really excited about how we've been able to change things. When I came on board, we had a backlog of 3 years of work order maintenance, and now we've gotten that down to 4 months thanks to our amazing crew members. Looking forward to our city being in a place of implementation, right? Answering the call of what community should look like. And so I'm just excited about those opportunities to do that work.
Keith Benjamin, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate it every time, man.
Yes,
every
sir.
time.
Anytime. Good, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, man.